In a world dominated by fossil fuels, one man fights for an electric future, and that man is your host of the Tesla Life, Mark Coughlin!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 319. Here we are on the, what is it, the 8th? Yeah, 9th of August, 2023. And Patrick is feeling a little bit frisky, as you can tell by the opening. So thanks, Patrick, for that great opening. Oh, no, Casey is flashing in and out. Casey, you still there? Yes, you are. Okay, all right. Well, let's introduce...
You're still mad at me.
Okay, let's introduce Mr. Casey Green from the East Coast. How are you today, sir?
Doing quite well, other than the computer issues, which will end up resolving themselves in the middle of the show, and I'll be like doing this, and then
you're gonna be pixelated for half the show.
Hopefully not that long. I don't know what it's up to. It's like, hey, welcome to goodbye. Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and so we'll keep an eye on you, or we'll keep an eye on your frozen frame as it goes along. But also joining us
as
per usual, as per usual, Mr. Patrick Connor from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, Tesla Nation. I am good, and we have a new little member of our Tesla family here.
How so?
I talked about it last week. I'd sold my X because we were getting a Y. And the Y is here. We picked it up yesterday. It's sitting in the garage with, I think, 12 miles on it right now. And it's still doing the camera calibration. So,
wow.
It has a little dial that shows how that's progressing, and it's like 90% complete. They said it takes up to 50 miles. And, we now have a Y.
Wow.
So we've just discovered a benefit to being hella far from the delivery center. That's
right.
Always done before I get home.
The drive home will
even when I was in DC. Even when I was in DC and they did the hardware 3 upgrade, we got to recalibrate all the cameras, even though they said, oh yeah, you should be fine, it should be stored. It's not. By the time I got halfway there, I was like, all right, hey.
Patrick's going to get a message from his car in a couple of minutes saying, hey, I can't do the calibration while sitting in the garage. Get out here and help me.
Come on, come drive me. Yeah. We don't drive a whole lot. From the car. But that's okay. It's cool. The cameras have that red tint to them. It looked like the Terminator eye. It's kind of cool. I just saw a video. Somebody had compared hardware 3 and hardware 4 camera quality or image quality, and it's amazing how much better the images are with hardware 4. Although I don't think hardware 4, maybe someone in the chat knows, has I don't think the hardware 4 cars have FSD functional yet. Is that true? I haven't even finished the calibration, so I don't know. But when I was looking it says that it's waiting for a software update, and I assume that's that they have not released FSD for hardware 4 yet.
I haven't heard of anybody who's got it done yet, no.
Okay, so it's got to be coming soon, though. Hardware 4 has been out since when? March for some people?
It's been out a few months.
Yeah.
So what they're waiting on is for the versions to catch up. Because right now I'm running a newer version of FSD, but an older version of the software. So some folks are on a newer version of the software, but the previous version of FSD that I had, they've got a deployment mismatch for now.
Right.
Big push comes.
That happens a lot with deliveries. Is that the software that the car comes with is not necessarily what you need, and it has to do an update. But I haven't heard that FSD is not working for new Model Ys. I don't think that would be the case, or I think there'd be a lot more people complaining.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you know next week.
Use it, but the beta is not working because it's not downloaded on any of those cars yet.
Right. Yeah, so that's what it looks like.
You think FSD beta is not operational on any new Model Ys with hardware 4?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Not yet.
From everything I'm seeing out there in socials.
Okay. That's surprising.
And speaking of messages from the car, last night my inverter appeared to have failed. The vector was green, car said no power from wall, check connection. So I went over, hit reset, and the wall connector did nothing because it wasn't broken. So then I turned off the 100 amps, turned it back on, and it tested everything and plugged it back in, and nothing. So I was looking for my UMC. I don't know where somebody moved it to heat stuff up. So I found a level 1 J1772, put an adapter on it, plugged it in, and then instead of saying check charge power, it said waiting for connection. Even though I plugged it in and the light went off. On the Tesla charger, it said it was blue and said no power. On the turned off. And so by the time I got inside, sending a ticket to Tesla after restarting the car, powering down the car, disabling the high voltage and re-enabling it, about 3 minutes after I had finished typing everything up, hit submit, the car was like, yeah, I've been charging for 3 minutes at full speed. Went and ran an errand, went to the drugstore, came back, and it's still been fine. So we'll see if that was some sort of weird fluke or if they see something in the logs.
That is weird.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to some other news. We heard Patrick's news already. Let's move on to the news of the week. And first story comes out of Fremont Factory, which is apparently getting another sprung structure. Has been asked for the permit for, and the building is going to require electrical and machinery to be housed inside. So, not quite sure if this is going to be an extension of a line, or if this is just storage, which a lot of the spring structures are used for storage. And of course, we do have an assembly line and a spring structure as well. So it could be either or, but Fremont is running out of space dramatically.
Yeah,
they are trying to compress things. They're now producing about 450,000 vehicles a year. The plant, when it was owned by GM and Toyota originally, that was slated to run 300,000 a year. So it's already 50% higher output than what the plant was designed for. So they are continually looking for space and places to put things. And these sprung structures all over the place are certainly an indication that they're trying to use up any little ounce of space that they can come across. Even the ability to store things outside of an assembly line and be able to move it in with a forklift or something when it's required would be a plus, because then they don't have to store it in the building with the actual line on it, giving themselves a little more room to breathe. But this is what Fremont is. Not sure how they're going to continue to grow if besides maybe shutting down for an extended period of time and rebuilding some things to make it more the space more usable for what they're doing, because it's been a lot of piecemeal where they've been adding thing here and adding a thing there, and then eventually you run into issues where you've got things disjointed and not in a great flow for manufacturing. You're having to move things maybe once or twice to get them to where you want them to go, and of course that takes additional time.
Yeah, they have already had parking issues there, and now if they're going to take up more of the parking lot with the new sprung structure, well, you better start carpooling if you weren't already.
Yeah, they should maybe take a note from Berlin and hire a train to come in and drop people off, like pick up people along the way at a sub parking lot farther away and shuttle them in or something.
Right. Yeah. Where were they talking about putting in the roller coaster?
That was Fremont. So
that there you go.
Lots of room for a roller coaster on the roof, I guess.
That's right. Yes, have the roller coaster from the parking structure over to the building. There you go.
Or a zip line. That would be great.
Yet another Elon proclamation the company doesn't follow through on.
Get yourself a 7-story parking structure, and everyone from the 4th floor up can zip line into work. Yeah, I can't see any problems with that at all.
That's it.
Next story happened earlier in the week is it was announced that Canadian superchargers were all being switched over to per kilowatt hour billing. So
right, as it should be.
We were on, because of federal regulations, we were on a timed billing. So there were some discrepancies about people getting a faster charge and still having to pay the per second charge compared to others that would come in, get a faster charge in the same amount of time. We're getting charged the same amount. So of course, there was a number of complaints on this early in the year. And what was figured out was that the feds had to change the ability for a reseller of electricity that is not a utility to be able to charge per kilowatt. So that took a number of months to get through Parliament, but that has obviously been changed because as of early this week, it's been mandated across all Canadian superchargers that kilowatt hours is how things are charged going forward.
Cool.
So everyone is standardized for the amount that they pull into the car, doesn't matter how long it takes. And I think that's also going to be the case for the third-party chargers out there as well. The charge points and the flows and such, I think they'll all have to probably follow that model as well. Casey.
Just like Electrify America, Tesla will charge you more per kilowatt hour the faster you charge. So, but the good thing is that as your car slows down into the taper, then you end up in those lower tiers and they charge you at that rate as well.
Oh,
So,
that's weird. There's different prices at different.
well, I charge them more in demand charges.
Yeah, that's true. But it also means you get out of there faster so someone else can charge.
Yeah.
You got to get out of there faster, and because your car tapers so quickly, you're paying that maximum rate for just a couple minutes or seconds before it gets down into the medium and low tiers. And it really should be the other way around. You know, like, hey, if you're in that like past 80% rate, we're gonna hit you hard. Get out of here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that too, because that's where you can just be hogging the spot. You're still charging, but you're charging so slow. You could be doing it at level 2.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Like so, at my house, the car charges at 17 kilowatts, and as it's trying to finish up at like that above 90%, it's charging at 20 kilowatts. I'm like, what's the difference?
Not much.
So I think what would be cool is I understand charging more for the demand charge at the 250, 150, whatever the max rate is for your car on a supercharger. But then, you know, in that medium section, that's fine. Make that the good price, but then charge even more than the demand charge for people who are at that excessive charge, and then the navigation isn't asking for it. Like, if you've got the trip planner, it's forcing the car to 100%. The Tesla should just waive that. But if you manually do it on your own, then all bets are off.
Yeah, and Derek mentions in the chat that California is seeing time of day charging prices as well. I saw that when I was visiting California a couple of years ago, that if you went to the charger after 11 p.m., for example, the price was dramatically different because, of course, there was less people for demand for the charger at that time, and that would allow people to charge up at a reduced rate. In some cases, it's double at the peak hour compared to the lowest hour. So that's another way to, of course, I guess, direct demand to people to let them, you know, you can choose whenever you want to charge if you have to. But of course, if you were to schedule it so it's less stressful on the charger, you get a discount and get a cheaper charge. So makes sense to me. Yeah. Next, PepsiCo put out a video earlier in the week. I'm sure Casey and Patrick would have saw this. It was a very interesting video. It was about 12 minutes or so, and they went over a lot of the infrastructure that Pepsi's using. They went over a lot of how the vehicles are actually used in daily operations. They talked to some drivers about their experience, and then they talked to how this was a California location, Sacramento, and they talked a little bit about state incentives that got them to look at sustainability in the trucking industry, and how California is leading the way with these incentives and the direction of trying to be more sustainable with your transportation or distribution network. And it was a great video. Certainly, it'll be in the link of the show notes if you want to go check that out after the show. Certainly do. It's worth a watch. And it was interesting listening to drivers talk about how their experience in driving the semi was intimidating at first, but they found it much easier to operate once they did take it for a spin or two. They talked about of course, the one gear driving. That's a complete departure from regular trucks that have multiple gears. And the ability that the vehicle gets up to speed dramatically faster than a regular vehicle. Which of course they're not used to as well. All these other trucks are slow moving when they're fully loaded, and this truck is a departure in many different ways for the drivers, and it seemed like it was all positive.
Yeah, they told us a couple things that we didn't really know before. Like, well, we could see that the interior was a little more minimalist than they're used to. When Tesla showed it off, they showed off like the dump switch and everything, and so I was under the impression that it still had a lot of stuff in it. And the driver, she pointed out, she said, "Yeah, this thing has almost no buttons in it, just like the cars." And one of the other key things that they pointed out is that the hot seat, the trucks, they run 3 shifts, and so you needed a MegaCharger, not just because the thing doesn't appear to AC charge, because it doesn't have a AC charging port that we've seen, because MCS is DC only. If you're going to run it all day, then you need to add it back. And we got 2 different figures. Patrick and I were talking about that one of the drivers said, what, 30 minutes or 20 minutes to like 90%. And the fleet manager was talking about, I think 10 minutes more for 80% charge. So I don't know if that was just on average, and that driver had better charging time. We talked about that as well, about how based on the fact that they have a certain size connection, that maybe the MegaChargers are balancing that out, since they have a peak of 750 kilowatts at the Pepsi site.
Yeah. And it was interesting that that they got 21 trucks at this particular distribution center. They're hauling Pepsi, so these are heavy loads. And what they were saying is that most of them run on a 100-mile route that they have, which has more stops. So that will be kind of like a local distribution run. And then they said they have a few that run a 250-mile route that is up over the mountains. And they talked a little bit about the misleading charge left, because, of course, when you come down the mountain after delivery, you're basically driving for nothing. It's using no energy, and in some cases, it's gaining more energy than it's using coming down the hill with the regen.
Right.
Just like a Nikola. Oh,
yeah. Actually, this one was under its own power, Patrick. It wasn't gliding. So, yeah. But it was interesting that they were experiencing some of the stuff that we as Tesla owners now just take for granted. When you're going down a hill and the regen kicks in and you start gaining range on the way down. In a truck, it's much more because, of course, it's a heavier vehicle. And, of course, the regen is gaining more as it's coming down the hill. And, of course, they're not using their brakes. They don't have to go through the physical pads as much because the regen is doing a lot of that braking for them coming down a mountain pass. So very cool to hear from the drivers.
That a couple of their regular routes actually max out the range. They said they have a couple routes that go 450, and it's only officially rated for 500 at full load. And they're doing 450 at a full load. So they have obviously learned to get over their range anxiety.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's probably great data for Tesla too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And that's what they talked a little bit about about this being a partnership, as we've mentioned before, not even knowing the actual case, is that Tesla's collecting this data and they're making adjustments based on real world data, what's going on, what gets reported back, and what the trucks collect, and can, of course, make it better for everyone that will be introduced to this truck as time goes along. So, yeah, it's a process. It's something brand new for Tesla. It's going to take them some time to get this new industry worked out so that it is benefiting both them and the customer, and make those changes so that everyone's happy, just like these drivers seem to be.
You know, we didn't do this weekend, Patrick. We didn't do some of your math.
Yeah.
Using the calculated size that you have for the battery pack, what do you get at 1.1 kilowatt hours per mile and 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile, since those were the two figures we saw for fuel consumption overlaid on the video?
Yeah, I haven't double checked those with what I did previously, but I also don't know if those were really reliable numbers, because like we said, we got a couple different numbers and their recharge times, and so yeah, we could do that math, and just estimating, you could have a pack as low as 800 kilowatt hours the way that they were saying it, but I don't think it's that small. But
I was thinking, like, if we just use your size, because you've been pretty good on most of these numbers going back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
okay.
Let's try doing it in real time. There will be math on this show, apparently.
But I'll just
so let's just say it's 950, and you said 1.1 and 1.7.
Those are the two that I thought. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. That can't be right. Yeah. So I gotta wait.
You check those numbers, but
go ahead.
The other thing that I wanted to mention was that the distribution management, they talked a little bit about how that that they had to be aware as to how much voltage these trucks were going to pull, because they had to go back to their supplier or their utility to understand whether or not that particular facility could handle 20 trucks that would charge overnight or at any given time during the day. So, they had a nice shot, an overhead shot of the multiple chargers. Yeah. It looked like about 6 MegaChargers that they had in their back lot there, maybe 8. And then they talked a little bit about battery storage to shave off the peak that they could have installed. And of course, that was something that was interesting to hear about them knowing that the next distribution center that they open, they'll be looking to add this requirement to their leasing, requirements that they give to a landowner, that this is what's going to be required going forward, because they're going to want to incorporate this with any new distribution center that gets built.
Yeah, because they were saying that having to do it piece by piece was more time, effort, and money than just doing it right the first time. And after the utilities told them, no, we can't do it on what you've got, because they were all on one subsystem, but now they're on 2. They got a own separate feed just for the trucks, which also allows them to say on the side of the trucks, it says 100% renewable. It also allows them to pay for it with the utility as a vehicle fuel, rather than commingling it with the factory workloads.
Right. So they could say all the electricity that comes out of this service is strictly for fuel for our trucks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Any luck there, Patrick?
Well, the 1.7 is what Tesla recommend, or their efficiency is what we're expecting. They said less than 2, and so
that would be as close to the EPA as we could get on a truck.
Right, exactly. And so now if we're getting 1.1 instead, that's certainly going to give you more range than the 500. If at 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile, you're getting 500. If you instead only use 1.1, you're going to get what is that percentage-wise? Another.
Yeah, it'd be almost 30. Like a 50% boost.
Yeah, and
That would be why they'd be
obviously,
comfortable running it
if
so close to the sticker. If it's
right,
really
so if you're not
warm
hauling a
there.
full load, you should obviously expect a longer range. If you've got it filled with chips or something instead of drinks, or you've got half a load, or
Yeah.
Right, or
yeah.
you, like you said, you're going down the mountain with the drinks and coming back empty
Mm-hmm.
because that rating is full on level ground.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah,
Well, I'm sure I am
41%,
hoping
would you
we
be-
get another video a few months down the road explaining maybe from Frito-Lay how it works on their end. This was, of course, Pepsi only, but it would be interesting to see what Frito-Lay has found, because, of course, that would be the lighter loads. They would definitely be underweight on all their journeys.
Yeah, and just quick math, I'm getting 770 miles at that 1.1, and that just seems like I don't want to say that out loud. That just seems crazy.
These hypermilers.
Yes. Yeah. Let's get Tony Schaefer behind the wheel and see how far he can take one. Fill the cab with helium balloons.
That's right. Yeah. How far can you get with a cab filled with helium? Yeah. The driver talks like a high-pitched wheeze for the next 4 years, but that's okay. We got extra range. Yeah. Next story. Let's move on to Giga Mexico. Go ahead.
Derek asked if they confirmed they're using battery backup and solar panels, and they are on the main factory. The solar panels, so that won't go into the semis because they're separate feed thing. But the battery, I do believe they were saying the battery is in line with the MegaChargers.
Yes. Yeah.
For peak shaving.
Yeah. Next, Giga Mexico, just an update. We had heard that Tesla had reached out to some of their suppliers in China specifically and asked invited certain Chinese companies that supply them with parts to look into setting up shop in Mexico. And just an extension onto that story, it seems now that 7 Chinese suppliers have already signed leases and are in the process of moving to Mexico, close to Giga Mexico, to help supply that plant going forward. So, and we've also got a few of them that are still looking into joining the other 7. But we've got that now moving where they're actually starting to build there or start to move into existing facilities or modify them. So that's a little bit of news for people waiting for Giga Mexico to get going. Of course, they're going to need their suppliers to be up and running, not to the extent where they have to be fully there, but, you could ship it in, I guess, with certain things, but it's going to make the logistics so much easier if you've got the suppliers surrounding the Tesla factory that's being built there.
Yeah, and Mexico's government is doing that not just for Tesla. They're also doing it for all these other industrial uses that they want to encourage in their country. So they're also reaching out to these Chinese companies and saying, "Come on over, we'll give you an incentive. Come on over. Plus, you're close to what your customers are. We got you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the idea of shipping stuff halfway around the world repeatedly to get to build something is kind of crazy. So I really like the idea, not just because it's part of what the IRA requires or whatever, but just like you said, logistically, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
And then you can't externalize the effects of all this shipping. When you look at what do the ships do, they run on the worst oil there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Few of them have kites or solar.
Right.
Yeah.
Next, I think Patrick knows about this story about the Master of Coin.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Zach Kirkhorn is leaving Tesla. And there's been a lot of speculation, but as far as I know, the actual reason he's leaving has not been disclosed.
Correct.
It looks like he's leaving on good terms because he's staying through the end of the year to make sure the transition happens to his replacement, whose name it might be in the story that you've got there, Mark.
Yeah, it's in a separate story, not the one that I have.
Okay. Yeah. So, he's not he's been there 13 years or so.
Yep,
So
13 years.
But he hasn't been the CFO that entire time. He's had other roles and he's moved up through the ranks. Tesla's had multiple other CFOs. In fact, one guy left and then came back.
I was about to
and
ask
then
if he was
left
the same
again. I don't think it's him again, but that would be funny. Yeah, so the market responded with Tesla having a down day when this came out. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. And yeah, it's sad to see him go, though. Tesla's had great growth under his watch. And, you know, I don't know how much of that he's directly, you know, responsible for. But anybody who's there when things are going well, I'm sad to see them go.
Yeah, yeah. And then I have a rumor, unconfirmed, that that he decided to end his days because he got a new batch of business card and he noticed that the title of Master of Coin was still underneath his name and he couldn't take it anymore. That, of course, is completely unsubstantiated, but it
must be true, I'm sure.
I just find it funny that to see the guy's business card says Master of Coin underneath it, or CFO is not there, so that's just hilarious. But no, I think he did a solid job as CFO. Certainly, you could tell that he was structured on those earning calls. He was on a lot of the earning calls, of course, once he got to a CFO position. But he was just structured in the way he would answer questions. And you could tell that, you know, it's good to have someone that's structured, especially the ones that are holding the financial strings or reporting upon them. So I'm going to be sad to see Zach go. I thought he was doing a great job.
Yeah, I think he complimented Musk well. Because, like you said, he was the calm, cool, rational. He wasn't a hype man, and you want somebody who's a serious person who is holding the purse strings there. So yeah,
he was Musk's. He was to Musk. He was like an Abbott and Costello. So
the straight man.
Costello would be you know, Musk, and he was certainly the straight man, definitely.
Yeah, Derek said it well. He grounded Elon.
Yeah. Next story coming up is yes, this is very cool. There was a new app that was soft released in the Tesla software for fleets, and the magic about this app is that it's connected to the Tesla software in a way. So really, this is the first official third-party app that is available. Now, it's not available to you and me as a non-fleet owner, but fleet owners have the ability to enable this actual software to help them manage the number of cars that they have in their fleet. So, for example, Revell out of New York City that has all those blue Model Ys. They are one of the clients on this software package, as well as smaller fleets that only have like 50 cars, whereas Revell has a few hundred of them. But this allows these fleet owners to have a utility that's connected right into the software, and of course sharing not your password, but sharing, what do you call it, Casey, where you're sharing a key?
A one-time key, yeah.
Where they only have to sign up to share the key. And of course, the owner does have the ability at any point to remove a key from any of the cars to stop them from being on that particular plan. But it's a great little system that you don't have to share your password for every car to the provider of the software, just a key, a one-time key, and then it will start to track and keep that as part of that fleet with that key in its system. So this could be the start of the the third-party thing that we keep thinking, that once the volume of Tesla cars reaches a certain amount, they may open this up to third-party developers of software. Definitely, this fleet company has been speaking with Tesla, obviously, for some time in order to get it incorporated into the current software stack. Even though it's partially hidden, you can't see it from the outside currently.
Right. I wonder if this is what Hertz is using because I spoke recently about how they when you rent a Hertz vehicle and a Hertz Tesla vehicle, and it's on the latest software, so not like if it's never been updated, this won't work unless it's a brand new shipping. When you go to the page with your keys on it, there'll be a QR code that you can scan with your phone, and it'll log the car to your app until a couple seconds after you've returned the car and they've checked it back in, and then it's gone from your app. But like it loads your cloud profile, so if you're in a non-legacy car, your seat positions, your mirror positions, the steering wheel, all that goes back exactly the way you like it. And then when you turn it back in, it's just a normal rental car.
Yeah.
So you can use your phone key instead of having to tap the daggum credit key every time.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
They have some other special sauce with Tesla Direct.
With police departments that are starting to use Tesla vehicles, this makes a lot of sense. When the CyberTruck comes out, I'm sure there are plenty of businesses that are going to have a fleet of these trucks, and this will make sense. Yeah, government purchases of vehicles. Yeah. And I can't believe that we would let Derek say that he grounds Elon, and we have to make an electrical joke that Zach was ground and Elon was high voltage. I mean, come on. This is right there. We can't let that one go by.
That was clearly bothering you.
It was. Well, you talk about the clone profile with my this is my key to the car, and when I registered it with the Y. So for both cars, it as soon as I tapped it and it's tapped the other card, it immediately pulled that in, and it already had the name Pat's Ring that it knew that this was my car key. So that was pretty cool.
Very nice, very nice. Next, we got a couple of photos to share with the audience here. So let's get the sharing going.
All right.
Boom. Here we go. Couple shots of the CyberTruck at Giga Texas. The one on the left is the vehicle actually charging at Giga Texas. But what's kind of interesting, and you can't see it the greatest, but this piece of plastic here is speculated to be the frunk, the lining of the frunk.
Liner, yeah.
Sitting in the vault. But even better, to the right, we've got a shot of a person driving by in a cart and seeing about 5 Cybertrucks sitting off to the side, and one of them had the frunk open, and you can actually see a pretty good representation on how big the frunk is going to be if this is the final model.
That'll be close, even if it's not.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's hooks in for grocery bags so they don't fall over?
You would think they never returned those hooks, did they, to the Model 3
or the S?
Yeah, so
the S have little knobs.
They definitely should have some sort of hooks in there, and of course, maybe that's an opening for a third-party provider if they don't do it.
Yeah, especially now that they've gone the Lightning style, where there's not much once the front lid is up. Say you're parked slightly nose down, all your groceries end up in front of the truck.
Yeah. And what's noticeable here is, since this is so, it looks like it's been cut down somewhat from the original version of the Cybertruck, and maybe that's how they allowed it to fit in a 19-foot garage. Maybe that's where a lot of the length was shortened, was from the frunk side of things.
Maybe.
One other thing to point out, some speculation as to what this black hole with the silver thing is down here.
Trev was hoping it was another charge port, but everybody shot him down right away.
Yeah, I don't think it could be a charge point, because you wouldn't want to pop the trunk every time you would, or the frunk every time you want to charge, and there doesn't.
It's not a DeLorean.
Yeah,
that is where you had to refuel them. You had to open the hood to refuel the car.
And then leave that picture up when you're done. I've got something I want to point out as well.
Doesn't seem to be a door on this part here at all. So,
right. So you
sure.
have open frunk.
Although, having the port up there might be advantageous as well. But again, it's breaking the rule of Tesla of always having it, on the back of the vehicle.
Well, there's one in the back. This would be the opportunity to have 2.
Oh, okay. To have it in both spots.
When you're towing, and you can't reach that back corner. You can just nose in, and you got it.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
or is that where you can charge another one? Charge the one in front of you.
Right, that'd be cool too. But what some folks are saying, if it is power, it's most likely the power out for your job site or whatever while you're working on something in the frunk, like a saw or something.
Okay, so like a 240 volt plug or something
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I wanted to point out is look at the height differences on the vehicle with the frunk open and the vehicle in the background. I'm hoping that what we can see there is that's the actual amount of travel. Like you open the frunk and it kneels the same way that when you open the tailgate and pop the ramp out, it kneels backwards or squats really.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, especially now that you get to waist height and you can slide stuff in like the Lightning.
Yeah, because obviously if the vehicle had this much clearance on this one, that would make the frunk that much higher and tougher to get things in and out. But
eat your lunch hands free.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's great that we're getting some of these photos before the announcement, because man, we've got to be getting close now. Like here we are at the beginning of August. You think that there's going to be some sort of event announced shortly, we hope. But again,
I was looking at those Knight Rider wheel covers that we saw spied on.
Yeah, the kind of aerodynamic ones. Well, I can't say that the other ones weren't aerodynamic. The ones here,
yeah,
it's just that they've got a distinct pattern on it. The Knight Rider ones were flat and flush.
Yeah.
So, but I did notice they kind of wobbled a little bit too. So they weren't quite on center.
Or they did a bad job installing them.
Yeah, which is not something that you would expect to happen. But next,
yeah, that's a good point there. Derek doesn't see any shocks on the front lid. I'm hoping that's because they're just deep in there and it's power, like the Model 3 tailgate, the new one. But I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of material to be pushed up there by hand, and then just counterweighted with some springs. I'm hoping it's power.
Another photo to share with everybody is this one, caught by a drone buzzing over Giga Texas. And this looks a lot like a trench built for water.
Oh, the water trough test.
Yeah. And these guys got a photo with a construction worker standing near the knee wall here, and they estimated he is about 72 inches high, and they show the depth of this showing it goes down to like 96 inches underneath the 72 inches. So that is definitely the tires are not going to be touching the ground unless the vehicle sinks to the bottom when this is full of water.
So either they're going to show against it like benchmark it against a Jeep with a snorkel, or it can float as a boat for a short while.
Yeah.
Or maybe like their drowning test. Who knows? This is going to be interesting to see why it needs to be that deep. Most of these troughs are like they only get up to about like the fenders, and then you just got to keep moving so that you don't suck any water in.
Right. And of course, most executives don't say that my vehicle is going to float. So there's that too, right? Most CEOs don't say, well, our new truck is going to be it's also going to function as a boat for a short period of time. So so this is going to test how short of a period of time it's going to be.
Right. My favorite two vehicles that I caught in the tests to date have been the first gen Volt and the launch Nissan Leaf, because that was back when we were getting all those questions about how do you wash it.
Yeah, exactly.
Won't you electrocute yourself in a car wash? No.
I would pull up the video and just show them, like, what? It's swimming. Yeah, it's
swimming. Yes. And since we're going through photos here, we're going to get Casey to comment on this photo. Let me just, I got too many windows open. That's the problem here. Share. Boom. This is Casey's story about, looks a little bit portable.
Yeah, it's another MegaCharger. This one is in Las Vegas. Last one we saw was in Baker. and that one had about 300, 400 kilowatts capacity. We don't know what was actually installed. And then a little bit after we saw that thing show up, a TeslaSemi came and charged on it. This one, let's see, was in Las Vegas. And who came by to use this one? We got a bunch of tweeted photos of the unit, of its installation, showing the MCS2 connector that it uses currently. I found out that the reason they're not using MCS3 is that was like too far of a first draft for them to actually make a product. Mm-hmm. So they just used what they had, just like Tesla always does. They're ahead of the standards bodies.
Okay.
So they use what they can. And so then the person who showed us the photos of it, they also showed it being packed up and moved on a flatbed. So apparently, whatever Tesla had it there for, they used it.
So this is gonna be a service, right? Where a guy that owns a TeslaSemi would just radio ahead and say, "I'm going to be in Vegas in a couple hours. Can you have one of those portable units put in my hotel parking lot?"
Perhaps. But this is the second one we've seen, and unless it's the same one moved around twice. But I'm doubting that they would have taken the time to clean it based on how that first one looked. It had tape across the front of it, and this one does not.
You know, what'd be interesting to know is whether it said MCU2 on it.
Does this one say MCU2? Because the first one said MCU1.
Oh, then this is a 2. So they are different.
There.
Solved.
Done.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Nice.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. That they're that this allows them to be portable. Again, depending on what kind of voltage they can get out of the site, I would imagine. But
yeah, what do you plug that thing into?
Yeah, it's got to be plugged into something, and
maybe into where the Tesla Mega Pack with all of the urban superchargers around the edge, like it looked like a mother cow or a mother dog with all the puppies or little moo cows lined up on it. Yeah. And so when that one burned down, they just used that same connection on the portable MegaCharger at Baker. So a lot of connection.
Yeah, you're right, Derek. Those were forklift slots at the bottom, so easy to get it on and off that flatbed. If you've got some sort of a forklift that's either attached to the flatbed or is separate at the location, definitely.
Yeah, once they have it like that and it's easily deployable, it's a lot easier to install it quickly and then make it permanent instead of, we saw this with superchargers too. They're doing these prefabbed ones. They just come in and drop them down, bolt them to the ground, and then they're done.
Right.
Yeah. Although the bases of those were concrete, right?
True.
This didn't look. This looked like it was either steel or something else.
Steel or plastic. The ones we see on pallets for regular superchargers are used the same way. They have an event coming up, or they have an outage or a shortage, or maybe just Giga Buffalo just a little slow on the production, and so they'll roll out a couple of these palletized superchargers, and then when the event is passed or the finals are ready, they'll swap them out for the permanent ones.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason they would do the exact same thing with the trucks. It's just only one per pallet due to sizes.
Right.
3 or 4, yeah.
And another supercharger story that Casey's got for us is this one.
This one is another European V4 Supercharger. Guess where this one is? All right, it's at Giga Berlin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Underneath the solar canopy, it looks like.
Yeah, and yet another solar canopy. So if anybody tells you they don't do the solar canopies, they just don't do them all that often.
Yeah, so it's weird. These V4s look like the MegaChargers, but smaller.
Smaller, yeah.
Or like the Urbans, but bigger.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is the just right size charger. Yeah. This is the Goldilocks of chargers.
I wonder if the Urbans are going to get a color palette swap to just be like black instead of red.
Mm.
Or if they'll just be red so you know they're slow.
And I don't know yet if does the red Tesla in the new chargers, does it light up like the old ones did?
It doesn't on the MegaChargers on the pallet. I don't know about the ones at Pepsi, and I don't know about the V4s.
Man, I think that would be a big miss if they don't. I realize it's a little bit extra planning, but to have those lit up is like free advertising at night.
Especially on the battery back ones where they're in a site where the power has gone out in the local grid.
Yeah,
and they're still up.
Yeah.
What a better way to say, come on over and charge. Than
exactly. What a better way to say that we're still open. Yeah.
Yeah. Although
and just to help find them at night.
Yeah. Even that. Even that. You'll notice that it's a mix of V4 and V3s.
Yeah.
In this particular photo, and apparently these 4 were V4 or V3s before the day began. So they've actually replaced them. These weren't add-ons. These were replacements of V3 into V4.
Oh.
And this, of course, is the first station that they've done that. The other stations, the other 5 V4 stations were all just brand new.
Yeah, that's kind of how they did the V2 to V3s. Like most of them weren't straight up replacements. But they did do a couple of them in the beginning. We're like, yeah, let's just swap it out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So it's good to see that and who would have thought that wouldn't have been the case? That would have been very poor planning if you can't swap them because having that ability, that's a great question. I never thought of that till now. But what do you guys think happened with like V2s? Like, do you think there is a replacement program in place that eventually when they have extra capacity or they have that they go out and they replace a V2 completely with V3s again? Because there's more than just the stations in that case. You've got to supply some extra hardware.
V1.
Casey sounds like a robot.
He's back.
Okay, go ahead, Casey.
Yeah,
you're back.
I've loaded up some stuff. I've seen them replace ones with stations that were
He's a robot again. All right,
No.
so I'll tell this while you finish whatever you're doing, Casey. In the Eugene Springfield area, when they have a supercharger there, and I don't remember how many slots they had. They had 6 stalls maybe, and then when I drove through, and then when I came back like a week later, they had added new V3s, and they were taking out and replacing the V2s that were the old install. So yeah, they were getting rid of those old ones. They had expanded it and replaced them.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see. I don't know what they do with the old ones. Recycle them, I guess.
Pick wisely.
He's still a robot.
Man, Casey, it's getting worse. I thought it was going to get better at the end of the show.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. And they're going to have, if they start replacing some of these, they should put those Tesla chargers up on their website and sell them. A lot of us would love to buy an empty unit to install in our garage or something. That would be
yes.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, just have my wall charger cable coming out of it, wall connector. Yeah.
And to end the show, we've got a new customer that's standing in front of a Tesla dealership. I assume that's somewhere near Portland.
Yes, that's the Tigard Service Center. And I do want to point out that I did not park my car here in the ADA spot. That is where they had it for pickup. And I'm a big ADA advocate. If you park there and you don't have a placard, I've got an app and I'm reporting you. So
so everybody out there,
report it.
Everybody out there, you've got the app. Go ahead and report this guy.
I did admonish the delivery guy, and he said, I know, I'm sorry. They're actually building a delivery center right next to this. And this parking lot is jammed full of cars for delivery, even though it's supposed to, it's primarily a service center. So they will soon have a delivery center separate from the service center, and they won't have to abuse the parking like this. And they also said, if anybody comes in with a placard and needs to, we'll move these cars. But that's still not anyway.
Not
yes, that's the photo, and
not just one.
Yeah, it was a great delivery. They did freak me out a little bit. On the day of pickup, I got a text that said, your VIN is ready. We'll notify you when you can schedule delivery. And I'm like, I've had delivery scheduled for a week and a half, and it's coming up in like 4 hours. And then I responded and said, I assume this is an error. We already have delivery scheduled today at 3, right? And they said, oh, yes, that was an automation error. We're sorry. And especially if it said your VIN has been assigned. So I immediately went on the app to make sure I still had the same VIN because we had already transferred FSD to our new VIN. And yeah, so that's why I was freaking out when I got that text message. Yeah.
You got standing for $15,000 for their error, even though it says no in the agreement.
Oh man,
But yeah. So other than
like, shaking the nerves at the last second.
Other than a little heart attack, it was all fine. Thanks, Derek. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up this evening. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Press that subscribe button. Help us out. Doesn't cost you anything, and really supports the channel when you do those things. Leave a comment on the video. That also helps. We would really appreciate that. With that, Casey, what do you got going on that you want to let people know on our exit here?
You might say that Patrick was driving home a certain kind of future.
That's right. Yes. Driving home the future free from fossil fuels. Yeah.
Bam!
On Sundays, you can catch what I call Let's Chat with Casey and Friends over at youtube.com at Casey Green. And Patrick was there last week, and we had a blast. And people show up and we chat about the news, and then we go about our day.
Very good. Very good. Patrick, how are things over at carswithcords.net?
Good. I will be writing up the whole how did the delivery go and FSD transfer, since not a lot of people have done that. If you want to do it, you better hurry because it's only good till the end of the quarter. And the cool thing was delivery was pretty quick. And as we talked about, I pushed my delivery out from Saturday to Tuesday just to make sure I could get all the financing and stuff in place. And it turned out I didn't need to do that, actually. In fact, Saturday when I texted and I said, hey, any chance we could get delivery today? They said, no. It's the weekend's all booked. There's no chance of getting you in. And they didn't do the final FSD transfer adjust the price until the day before. And that's actually kind of a little bit of a problem because I can't just take the price and subtract $15K because there's taxes and other little things. And I can't go in with a cashier's check that's even a few pennies off or it's not going to fly. And so I wish they would have done that like on Friday or Saturday instead of on Monday.
Or a few pennies under would be a problem.
Right. I mean, and they don't want to take credit cards or personal checks, right? They want, okay, so they use a service called Plaid, which I thought was hilarious, very appropriate for Tesla, but it's not a Tesla thing. It's other companies use it. It's a banking app, and you can attach that to your bank account, and they can take payment that way. But they don't do, like we were just talking about keys earlier. They don't have, you have to give them your bank login and password. And there was no way I was going to do that, even if they are a trusted security
one of the more advanced banks that does do OAuth with Plaid. There are a couple of them out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. OAuth would, that would have been, I would have probably used it then. But the funny thing is in the app, the only thing you can do is you start with Plaid, and then you have to cancel it, and then it says there's two other options: a wire transfer, or it was a certified check. That's what they said. And then I was like, okay, let me call my bank and see if they do certified checks. And they said, no, we do cashier's checks, but they're the same thing. And I was like, well, why wouldn't Tesla say cashier's check or certified check? And then when I talked to my advisor, they said, oh, just look at the end of the vehicle purchase agreement, and it gives you all the options. And there was way more than those two. And they did say cashier's check. And so what the app said in the vehicle purchase agreement, they weren't exactly in sync.
Quite aligning.
No, yeah, and that happens when you fly fast. The same time, yeah. They're really trying to direct you to use Plaid, and I didn't want to do that. But it all worked out fine. And since they did do it 24 hours in advance, they gave me plenty of time to get to the bank and get the cashier's check and get the amount right. And So all right, some more. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
You
What were you
should
gonna
have
say?
showed up with a wad of $1 bills, like stacks of them.
Made it rain.
Yeah.
They'll cut your check back, but they're really slow at that part too. They
I
owe
don't
me
think
like
they actually take
9
cash.
months once.
I don't think you can walk in with cash, yeah, and pay. That was not one of the things they listed.
No, it's not.
You had a question for me, Patrick.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. So, somebody leave a comment what you thought about the Don LaFontaine intro there that Mark got. I want to hear some comment on that one.
I like it.
And my usual plugs. I'm with cardswithcords.net, and as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. Thanks.
Very good, very good. Well, with that, we want to thank Lee Moon for the music we use every week. And we say to you, join us next week, Wednesday, and together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive, test negative.
Have a great week, everyone.